Okay guys, so today is February 13th, 2021. It is currently 8:28 p.m. We're starting to get a pretty good snowfall. We're forecasted to get about an inch overnight. I was going to preheat the slab a couple of hours ago, and then they changed the forecast, and I probably should have turned it on, but I also think it makes for a little bit better of a snowmelt video for you guys if you can actually see it melting. So I kind of like to let it accumulate a little bit and then melt it off. You know, it's 8:30 at night. It's not like I need the driveway clear in 2 hours because we're going somewhere. I mean, it'll be clear by morning, and it's Sunday morning tomorrow anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I figured instead of just setting up the camera for a time lapse, which I will do, before I figured I'd show you guys like the power up sequence that I do here to fire this up. So what I'm going to do, I can turn the system on one of two ways. Okay, I can manually just flip that smart switch right there for Snowmelt, and that'll activate the Snowmelt, or I can go on my phone using Samsung SmartThings, because that is a SmartThings switch right there, and I have it connected to my SmartThings hub, and I can go down to my hydronics section here, and I can go to Snowmelt system, which is off, and just tap the power button. Okay, I can do that from anywhere. I can do that from work. You know, it doesn't really matter. So what it did was it turned on that switch, which activates this pump and the aquastat. Okay, so this pump is now going to start pumping glycol through the system, and you can already see it starting to condense because it's cold coming back. Now, the aquastat is set to 80 degrees with a 15-degree differential, so as soon as the return drops below 65, it's going to go ahead and kick on the valve. So this valve is slowly starting to open, and it's going to go ahead and turn on this primary loop pump, which fires the heaters. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put the heaters in diagnostic mode, where it'll actually show me what the BTU readout is, and this will show me the temperature coming into the heaters. Okay, so we have 140 degree water on the primary side going out, and as this valve opens and starts to let back this 40 degree and falling glycol, you'll see the BTUs start to increase. 111,000, 160,000, and the incoming water temperature is dropping because that flat plate in there is sucking all the heat off that primary loop and putting it into the glycol. So we're already up to 250,000 BTUs, 260. Our return glycol is down to 33 degrees. And you can see here right now we've got about 80 going out. So we're up to about 266,000 BTUs, 272,000 BTUs. Still only got down to 32 degrees coming back, 31, which isn't bad considering it's 18 degrees out right now, and the driveway has not been on since the last video that I did, the overnight time lapse, which was I think the 8th maybe. So it's been off for almost pretty much the whole week. So what's going on right now is these units working together are consuming 275,000 BTUs. They're pumping 140 degree glycol, or water, domestic water, out through the primary loop into the flat plate heat exchanger. So it's coming in here at 140, and it's hot. And I actually have thermostats I still have to mount here that will read these temperatures, but it's leaving cool at 69. Okay, so it's going out at 140, it's coming back in at 69. So that other 71 degrees is being transferred over to the glycol side of the system. That comes out here. So this is this pipe coming out, comes down, goes through the spire vent, comes around, comes up here. As you can see, we're about 80 degrees right now, comes up here, and the only zone that's open and on, I have the radiant off right now just to simplify this. The only zone that's pumping is this Snowmelt zone. So it's pushing all the heat that it can get out of this primary loop and putting it into the driveway. And we're getting 31 degrees coming back. So we got a little bit under 80 going out, and we're bottomed out at 32 coming back. We're already climbing, so we're up to 32. But I don't know if you guys have seen my mechanical room part 1 video. I think it was in part 1, it might be in part 2, where I talk about basically how this works. And you know, yes, it's drawing a lot of BTUs right now, 260,000 BTUs, but I mentioned in that video, you know, as you guys can see, it's already dropping, and the glycol coming back is already up to 35. So within 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I mean, it's already really not consuming that much more heat than one water heater could handle. Now, if the tank came on, or if we had the radiant on and there was more demand, you would see this up higher, you know, 300,000 or more. But normally when I fire up the system, this is what it does. We're already up to 38 degrees coming back. Now, don't get confused. That does not mean that the surface temperature of the driveway is already up to 39 degrees. Okay, I would put money down that the surface temperature of that driveway out there hasn't even moved even a tenth of a degree yet. I mean, it is going to take hours to raise the temperature of that slab. So for anybody that's thinking like, wow, I mean, you're really hitting your slab with such a hard shock of heat, you know, that's just not the case. The return glycol might be coming back at 42 already. That slab is still, it's going to take a long time for that slab to absorb the heat that's flowing out through this PEX and to start to really raise the temperature of that driveway up past 32 and into the 40s, you know, and that's where on the time lapse, which I'm about to go set up the camera for the time lapse, you'll start to see the lines in the driveway. That's because, you know, the concrete is getting warmer around those lines quicker, and then eventually the whole mass will heat up to where it'll melt everything. The whole mass of driveway will be above freezing, so it will start to, you know, melt the whole driveway. So as you can see, we're already up to 46 degrees coming back. So, and we're up to 84 going out. So what'll ultimately happen, this will all even out, give it like 30 minutes. I'll end up with between 90 and 100 going out, and it's going to take an hour to an hour and a half before this aquastat hits 80 degrees and is satisfied. And with as cold as it is outside right now at 18 degrees, I wouldn't be surprised it takes 2 hours before this aquastat hits 80 and it shuts off the heaters, but this pump will keep running and this valve will close, so it will just keep circulating, and it'll probably do that for 10 minutes and then it'll need more heat. So over that 10 minutes it'll drop from 80, 79, 78. Once it hits 65 again, it refires the pump, it reopens the valve. All of that is controlled over here through relays that are in here. It's not complicated to set up. I will do another video on the electrical of this. I'll open this up, I'll show you exactly how I wired it. It's not rocket science, guys. If you want to set this up, you can do that. You know, but I just figured I'd show you the startup, you know, and how responsive it is. As you can see, you know, we're already down to 233,000 BTUs, We're up to 49 degrees, 50 degrees now coming back. The condensation that was on these manifolds is already gone. It's already evaporated. So, you know, and I'll just leave this on. I'll let this run all night and it will cycle and it will do its thing. It'll fire these things, you know, 2-3 times an hour for 10, 12, 13 minutes each. It's cold tonight, so I wouldn't be surprised that they run 13-minute cycles instead of 10. When it's in the mid-20s, they run like 10 minutes on, 12 minutes off, 10 minutes on, 12 minutes off. So it takes 12 minutes for it to cool from 80 down to 65, and then it takes 10 minutes for it to heat from 65 back up to 80 once the heaters come on. Okay, but the colder it gets, the longer it takes it to heat up. So those cycles end up flipping a little bit to where it's on a little bit longer, or the same as it is off, if that makes sense. So, as you can see, we're up to 82 coming in already. That's actually into the heaters. We're up to just under 90 going out to the driveway. We're at 52 coming back. That's reading more like 50, but my aquastat here is reading 52. And this will just run. Flow should be about 3.8, 3.9. Yep, through each machine. So my total system flow right now is like 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, somewhere in there, gallons per minute total. And yeah, this will just continue to do its thing. I can literally, I'll shut the lights off down here, and I don't have to monitor it, I don't have to watch it. It will just cycle and start to melt the driveway. So we're already up to 53 degrees. Coming back, 90 going out, 225,000 BTUs. So each unit right now is putting out about 110, 111,000 BTUs, if that makes sense. And it's just circulating that primary loop on the domestic side. One cool thing that I did notice was when the system is on, because of the way that I have it piped, where the tank comes off the top here, it actually does get a little bit of flow of heat through the tank and then out the bottom as it circulates. This pump is not on right now, my tank pump, but you already see the tank's up to 135. This is set to shut off at 131, and it usually doesn't get over 132, 133. That'll actually end up at 138 degrees. And the neat part about that is pretty much as long as the Snowmelt or the radiant is on a few times an hour, the tank pump never runs, because the tank is always hot enough to satisfy, you know, hand washing, dishwashing. You could even take a shower, and if it's not a super long shower, you won't even deplete the tank enough to turn on that pump while the Snowmelt's on. If you did, it's no problem. That pump will come on and it will kick the GPMs of the whole system from like that 7.6 up to 5 each, and it'll be 10 gallons a minute for the whole thing. And then the BTUs will jump, because you've got to do your universal hydronic formula, your delta T times your gallons per minute times 500, and you can figure that out. But if you increase the gallons a minute, you're going to increase the BTUs. So, but the units can handle it. I mean, these can handle 400,000 BTUs total. I've never seen it get that high. I think the highest I've ever seen it get is 330,000, something like that. And that was with the Snowmelt on, really cold like it is now. And I think the kids were taking showers back to back, and they depleted the tank and the pump kicked on, and so everything was on. I think I had the radiant on too, so it was screaming. But it kept up. It was fine. It handled all of it just fine. So anyway, we're up to 56 already coming back. We're a little bit over 90, 92 going out. Yeah, we're showing 90 down here. Still right at 14 pounds, which is exactly what I filled it at. 2 weeks ago, even though I do have a small leak right here, and that's why the wood is cut out here, is because I tried to tighten it. But at this point, it's mid-February. I'm gonna wait until spring or summer when I don't need the system, and then I'll drain it down. I'll fix that leak. I think this one might be doing a very small drip, like one little drip a week also out of this. I'm not gonna mess with it right now. The leaks are so small that that's something I can mess with in the off season when I don't need the system, and there's no rush to drain it and refill it, and I've got all summer for that. So, and I'm so close to the end of winter now at this point that there's no harm in waiting. So I just keep an eye on the pressure and make sure that, you know, we're not losing pressure, and it hasn't moved in 2 weeks, so I think we'll be fine. So yeah, I will go out and set this camera up to do the time lapse for this event, and I might put this video at the beginning of the time lapse. I might just put it as a separate one. I'll have to think about that and see how long this got, but I thought you guys would like to see a startup, see how I do it, you know, either with the switch, with your phone, and then see how it reacts when you first fire it up on an ice cold slab that's, you know, probably 20 degrees. The outside air temperature is 18, and as you can see, I mean, we haven't even been on 15 minutes, and we're using 213,000 BTUs, which really is not a lot, so to speak, you know. I mean, we're up to 58 degrees coming back already, 92 going out, and that'll start to melt. You won't see it yet out there. In fact, you know, I can walk out there right now with the camera and I'll show you guys. I'm gonna go out and set it up in the garage anyway, but yeah. So anyway, why don't I do that? Give you one last look here. 85 coming back already, 212,000 BTUs, 58 coming back. Flow is looking good. I do try to balance these out a little bit. If you'll notice in some of my other time-lapse videos, like where I set the camera in the garage, the one loop on the left in front of the door seems to heat quicker, and that is, if I go back and look at my schematic, that's loop number 13. So, and the reason that it was probably doing that was because I had this loop open. I had it getting more flow than the other ones, you know, and originally I didn't really have these balanced out. So since then I've kind of gone across and balanced them out so that each one's getting the same amount of flow. And it just helps, it helps more evenly heat the surface of the concrete. That's all it does. I mean, it's still gonna work even if they're not equal, but you might just get some sections like you see in that video, like loop number 13 here in front of the garage, where it heats up a little bit quicker than loop number 12, and that's because it's getting 1 gallon a minute, where loop number 12 up there might only be getting, you know, 0.8. It's just all a matter of flow, you know. You'll notice from all the time-lapse videos, loop number 12 does eventually catch up and heat, and it's not like you're waiting hours. It's within a matter of 15 minutes and then they're all the same. So it's not imperative, but you do kind of want to even things out so that everything heats nice and even. And yeah, so I was originally worried about some of the noise with these being all tight and everything. They don't move. I've never heard really anything out of these pipes. It's fine. It all works fine. So 92 going out right now, 59 coming back, 211,000 BTUs we're down to, 210, 86 degrees coming into the heaters. I mean, it works, guys. It works great. So why don't I'll turn the camera on real quick outside in the driveway and I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll set it up for the time lapse and we can go for there. But hopefully this was worth it. If you guys liked this versus me just throwing the time lapse up, and you know, if you liked seeing this mechanical room end of it, let me know, and I can do this. I can do it either as a separate video for each one, or you know, I could leave the camera on a tripod down here and just let it record the whole thing until the aquastat hits 80 and it shuts off. I don't know what you guys want to see, but let me know in the comment section, and hit the like button if you like this. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. So anyway, yeah, 60 degrees coming back already. It's been about 20 minutes, so I can't complain. It works great. So, okay. See you in a sec. Okay, guys. I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see because it's dark out here. This probably isn't going to turn out well at all. But this is the driveway looking towards the road, and you can't tell at all that this system is on. Like I said, it's only been on 20 minutes. I mean, you're not going to see anything in that period of time. You're just not. So here's this is the exhaust for the units, and when I normally set the time lapse up, I put it up in that corner of the garage, right up in that window. So I'll play around with that too. Maybe there's some better places I can put that, but you know, looking at this slab right now, you can't tell at all that this system is running. I'll see if I can grab a light and show you real quick. Alright guys, I got the light on in the garage, and I've got a spotlight here that kind of lights it up. But as you can see, we've got maybe just a dusting of snow on the slab already so far, and you can't tell. You know, there's just, it hasn't been on that long. So what you will notice on the time lapse is you'll start to see right here where the loops come out of the basement, you'll start to see the lines right here, and this is because they're all grouped together right here in this point, and then they turn and they head down the driveway, and there's a counterflow loop right over there, there's a counterflow loop right here, and there's a counterflow loop right here. This one right here in front of me is number 12, that one's number 13. I think that one over there is 11, if I want to guess. But you know, this is a nice little snowfall we're getting right now. I wouldn't consider this heavy by any means. So the system, once the slab warms up, it should be able to keep up with this no problem. So I'll turn on the time lapse. You guys can watch it, and then I'm expecting, you know, we're gonna go to bed, and in the morning this will be clear. It's supposed to stop snowing around midnight, 1 in the morning. I wouldn't be surprised if by 6, when I get up to check on it or whatever, that the slab's totally dry. I bet it won't even be wet. So, and I'll probably turn it off. So we're expecting another snow event on Monday into Tuesday. We're gonna get, they're saying even up to 9 inches, so that'll be another good video of it working. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys then. I'm going to set this up for the time lapse. Enjoy. Okay guys, so I just shut off the time lapse. So that time lapse is probably going to be dated like February 13th, which was yesterday. It is now the 14th. It's Valentine's Day. It is about 10:22, so the system's been on for about 14 hours now. And as you can see, it's still on. I have not shut it off yet. I just came out to pull the camera down, and I'll actually take you guys down there when I shut it off. So yeah, the time lapse sits right up in this little window right here. That's where I've been putting it. I might play around and move it a couple other places. I could try and get an angle from maybe like over here. See how that goes. Might be a little better picture. But as you can see, the slab is dry. I always run it until the slab is dry. You don't want any standing water on the slab because, of course, in short order after I turn this off, it's going to start to freeze. Now, it may take a few hours for the slab to drop back below 32, but still, you know, little spots like this, you know, that's fine. That's not going to harm anything. And actually, just the system cooling down will, you know, it'll still evaporate for a few hours, but you don't want it to be wet. You don't want the whole thing to still be wet and then turn it off, because now you just defeated the purpose. And you know, so I'll walk up here with you guys just to show you real quick how good of a job it did. This is heated here. It comes all the way down here to the end of the driveway. The front walkway's heated. The steps are not, but I have plans for that. So hopefully maybe this spring I'm going to do something about those steps. I might re-pour them and put Snowmelt in them. And I will, of course, take video of it. But as you can see, it stops right here. And you can almost see where my loops are. I'll explain in another video why I didn't run it all the way to the street. Basically, my property ends right there. That's the end of my right-of-way. So I didn't want to go over that. But yeah, I mean, it works great, guys. As you can tell, this is dry. No shoveling, no ice, no snow. I didn't lift a finger all night. I haven't done the math yet. It probably cost me $8, $10 to run it for that 14 hours, maybe, if that. And I'll put it at the end of the video. But yeah, let's go down in the basement, and it looks like it's almost at the end of a cycle, so that'll be a perfect time to shut it off. Okay, back down here in the mechanical room, and as you can see, just like when we were just outside, the system is on. The return is up to 71. So when that hits 80, it's going to shut off, and that's usually, if I'm home, that's usually when I like to shut it off. I like to let it finish its cycle, get a good bunch of heat out there, and then shut it off and leave it. And you know, at least that way it's got a good shot of hot glycol out there to maybe give it an extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes of still staying warm and evaporating. If we do get any light flurries here over the next hour, it's not going to build up. Nothing's forecasted for now. The snow is over until tomorrow. We're expecting another big event tomorrow into Tuesday, so it's probably going to be running another 24 hours starting tomorrow morning around 7. So I'll definitely take video. I don't know if I'll do another startup, maybe, but I'll definitely time lapse it. So yeah, this has been going now 14 hours almost exactly. I think I started it at like 8:25, 8:26 last night on the 13th. So I can show you here what we're doing for BTU usage currently. And this is with 74-degree return glycol coming back. And we have 96 going into the heaters. We're using about 172,000 BTUs total for the system. So, and again, it only does that for 11 minutes. And then it's off for 13 or 14, and then it's on for another 11. So a couple times an hour it runs for 11 minutes each. So I'll go out as soon as I'm done with this video and I'll clock the meter. I took a picture of the gas meter last night before I turned it on, and then I'll take a picture of it here when I turned it off, and then I can kind of try to compensate because my furnace is still on, my Resnor unit heaters in the garage are still on. So not all of the CCFs that I used over the past 14 hours were for the Snowmelt, but I know that on average I use about 5 a day just for the normal stuff without the Snowmelt, so it gives me a pretty good calculation to be able to estimate how much this is really costing me to run, and I think it's pretty accurate. So I'm up to 76 coming back. We're at 102 going out, and that's pretty much where it's at. It's usually around 100, 102 degrees going out once it's up to temperature and everything. And that's fine. I've heard, talking to several people, car wash owners, friends, people I've met online, normally you want around 90, at least 90 going out. If you can get 90 degrees going out, that's plenty to start melting, to start raising that slab to melt snow. You don't need 130 degree water going out to melt snow. So, yep, everything's good. My flow's good on everything. Pump's good. So we're at 77. Just a few more minutes here and this will kick off. And then we'll shut it down. 3.8, which is perfect. That's what they always are. So it's another easy way to tell if the inlet filter on these tankless units is getting plugged or is getting filled with any, you know, lime or sediment or anything, is that the flow will start dropping in them. And so far, ever since I turned these things on brand new, they've been pretty much between 3.7 and 3.9 gallons a minute. They're usually around 3.8, sometimes they're 7, sometimes they're 3.9 each. It's, you know, but probably over the summer when I do my annual maintenance, I'll flush them with vinegar, and I'll definitely clean out those filters. I'll also flush the domestic side of the flat plate, and that's really all I have to do annually. Now this summer, like I mentioned, I got a couple little minor things to fix. I got a small drip right there, and this one was also very, very small leak here in these threaded fittings. So I'll drain it down. I'll try and isolate the loops, so I don't have to drain all them, but I will have to drain these. I'll probably take these right apart, re-thread them, dope them, re-seal them real good, get that done. I did notice the other night, I thought I had a little bit of, yeah, see right there. I gotta figure out where that's coming from. I think it might actually be coming from this valve, like the back of the valve itself, which sucks because that's not gonna be easy to fix. But we'll see. I'll track it down and see what we can do. So, anyway, 78 coming back, 160,000 BTUs, 99 coming in to the heaters. So it's heating that 99 up to 140. 79. And you'll hear the valve close. It's spring loaded, so when it hits 80 you'll hear that valve close and go into bypass. Could be any second. $79. I don't know if you guys can see that. Once it hits 80, it'll turn off the valve, it'll turn off the pump, it'll turn off the heaters. It's got to be getting pretty close to 11 minutes, 12 minutes on right now, so. We're up to 104 going out. Okay, it's off. 3 bypass valve is closing. Okay, so now this is in bypass. The glycol cannot pick up any more heat. Also, that pump is off. And as you can see, my BTU usage is 0. My flow will be 0. The units are doing their cool down cycle right now, and in about 8 seconds they'll turn off. Even sooner. So they're off. And now it just sits. Now this pump is still running. So over the next 15 minutes, this aquastat's going to start falling because we're still pumping through the driveway right now. We still have flow. So I can either turn that off from my phone, like if I was at work and I check the cameras and I see that the driveway's clear, there's no reason to have it on, I could turn it off. Or if I'm home, all I have to do is just And there you go. The system is off. That's all there is to it. So that 80 degree, somewhere between 80 and 90, 100 degree glycol that was going out, coming back at 80, that's still in the slab. So it's going to sit there and slowly start to cool over the next several hours. And this is where I have to do the math as far as, and figure it out. Is it worth it to shut it off or to leave it on? And what I come up with is, if there's no snow expected within like the next 6 hours, it's actually more efficient just to shut it down. Because you figure it costs me about $1 an hour to fire it up, as you guys saw at the beginning of this video. You know, it comes on hard, 260, 70, sometimes 300,000 BTUs at first for a short period of time. And then, but it takes a couple of hours to get that slab warm. You know, whereas right now the slab's nice and warm. If it snows, the snow's not going to stick to that slab. But it's costing me 50 cents an hour to keep it running. So if right now, for example, we have a winter storm warning right now for tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and it is, 10:30 today. So we're not expecting any more snow between now and tomorrow morning. So if I leave it on, that's 20 hours roughly of running, at 50 cents an hour, because it's already up to temperature. So it's going to cost me $12, or do I shut it off and maybe turn it on tomorrow morning at 5 or 6, or even wait till the snow falls, wait till 7? It's going to cost me $1 an hour for those first 2 or 3 hours. But then once it gets up to temperature, it really evens out. So, $12 versus $3. We are splitting hairs at this point. I mean, if you've got a system like this, you have to be willing to accept that, you are just spending money out to heat the earth. But still, I like to kind of keep my natural gas bill at least under control for these months. And the way I figured it, guys, I could hire a plow service. Cost me what, $20 every time they come, $25. I could hire them on a contract, I think, for the season. I don't even know. I'm guessing they're between $300 and $500 for a season here in Buffalo. And that's whether it snows or not. December and January, we really did not have a lot of snow here. Pretty much right at the time I got this fired up on January 31st, we started getting pretty good snow events. So it's good for me to make YouTube videos, but really it's been a mild winter. So you spend that money and then the plow guys never come. But also look at the plows around here. I mean, number one, they'd never get up around my cars. They're scraping that blade across my nice new concrete driveway. I'm sure they're going to hit the grass and dig up the lawn and everything else. They're probably never going to be here by the time I come out to get the kids to school and everything in the morning. So you're still stepping in snow and dealing with it. Like, for me, I'd rather pay $100 a month or even $150 a month for these 3 or 4 months out of the year that this runs. I'd rather do that. And 150 is high. I mean, I'm expecting for February, we'll see here, but I'm expecting this is probably going to cost me less than $100 for the month of February in the natural gas increase to run this. So, no plowing, no shoveling, no snow blower, no gas, no maintenance for the snow blower, no storing the snow blower, pushing it around, hurting your back, being out in the cold, all of that. It's just, like you guys saw in the beginning of this video, I flip a switch and it's done. So, that's my argument anyway. So far I'm real happy with it and I would totally do it again. So anyway, I'll end this one here. This was kind of the end. I don't think I'm going to combine this with the time lapse because there are some people out on YouTube that don't really care about this part of it. They just want to see the snow melt. So I will try to upload the 2 videos together, but if you watch this and you want to see the time lapse of what this melted from start to finish, then look for the one dated February 13th or whatever. Maybe I'll put some title on it like Valentine's Day or something like that. But that's the time lapse that we just made with this startup and shutdown. So hope this helps, guys. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me and subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one, which is coming soon because there is snow on the way. Thanks, guys.